Haughey, to be followed by Maurice Corrie. Ms Haughey, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. International Women's Day is just as important now as ever, and I'm sure this year's Awareness Day will help progress the cause for true gender equality. Presiding Officer, when I look around us in this chamber today, I am so proud to see many strong women beside me. My female colleagues across political divides show each and every day that politics is now very much the business of women. However, looking back at UK political representation throughout history, it's staggering that since 1918, only 489 women have been elected as members of the House of Commons. To put this into context, until December 2016, there had been fewer women MPs ever than there were men elected to the House of Commons at any one time. We sit in a parliament that's composition is now 35% female, and while this demonstrates that things are moving in the right direction, we are still far from reaching gender parity. People look to our parliament as an example. Therefore, I look forward to its future when it better reflects Scotland's wider society. Presiding Officer, women of my age and younger have been afforded greater opportunities in their lives than our predecessors, be that in education, in the workplace or elsewhere. And this is thanks to the generations of women and men who before us advocated and fought for gender equality and parity of opportunity. In his message marking International Women's Day 2 years ago, former Secretary-General to the UN, Ban Ki-moon, said that as a society, we have shattered so many glass ceilings, we've created a carpet of shards. Now we are sweeping away the assumptions and the bias of the past so women can advance across new frontiers. As an MSP, I see it as my role and indeed my duty to continue to fight the fight of our mothers and grandmothers before us and address current inequalities for the benefit of women and girls in the future. Society may be fairer and more equal now than ever before. However, the progress has not moved swiftly enough and women still face a number of injustices today. As my colleague Gillian Martin so movingly spoke about, we continue to be subjected to sexism and sexual harassment. As Alison Johnson mentioned, we are adversely affected by welfare reforms, and we still continue to face massive barriers at work. Notwithstanding pregnancy and maternity discrimination, sexual harassment in the workplace, or the fact that women are more than 3 times as likely to be working part-time, when women do work, they are often paid less than men. Last year was the year of the BBC gender pay gap controversy, which revealed stark differences in salaries of public figures. However, this is not an issue which is unique to the media or the celebrity world. The gender pay gap impacts upon almost every workforce across the UK. Presiding Officer, more women than ever before are working in professional high-ranking jobs, but what use is it when their pay is often less than their equivalent male counterparts? According to research by Opportunity Now campaign, in the UK, for every £1 a man earns, a woman takes home 81 pence. As a committed trade unionist myself, and I duly refer members to my register of interest in that I'm a member of Unison, it continues to be a real source of personal frustration that women continue to lose out in the workplace. Since 1997, the gender pay gap in Scotland has narrowed considerably from 26.5% to 16.1% in 2017. However, 16.1% is 16.1% too many. An Ipsos Mori poll recently conducted asked respondents when they thought that pay and economic equality would be achieved. The average answer of the participants was the year 2035. Members will not be surprised to hear that 2035 is a bit on the optimistic side, with the World Economic Forum suggesting that at the current rate, women are likely to reach economic parity with men in 2234, and I doubt very much I'll be about to see that. There are many drivers of the gender pay gap, however, sadly, not one particular solution to closing it. As with many of the injustices women face, some barriers are systematic and cultural and will sadly take generations to unravel. However, many of the proactive measures taken by the Scottish Government will go some way in making Scotland more equal for our young women in the future. For example, through the recent changes to the Equality Act 2010, an amendment to that legislation now forces public authorities to report their gender pay gap and publish equal pay statements if employing more than 20 people, which is down from 150 employees previously. Furthermore, through the implementation of the Developing the Young Workforce Scotland's Youth Employment Strategy, it will address gender imbalances in young people's careers choices and opportunities, and also by continuing to push employers to become living wage accredited. It's not right that over 100,000 more women than men earn less than the living wage in Scotland. However, the Government have ensured that Scotland already has the highest proportion of employees paid the living wage of any country in the UK. Presiding Officer, International Women's Day should act as a renewed impetus for us all. We must continue to work together to close gender inequality, not only for ourselves, but for the generations to follow. Today, just over 100 years on, women not having the right to vote is now viewed as a ludicrous idea, old-fashioned, history. I look forward to the day when gender inequality is seen as something that would happen in the olden days, as my kids would say. An outdated concept which is consigned to the history books. As the motion alludes to, this is Scotland's Year of the Young People. So we owe it to them to do all that we can to create a fairer and more equal society. As evidenced in the other speeches today, focusing on the Me Too and the Time's Up movements, we are hopefully witnessing profound changes in our world, and for the most part, women are leading the way.
Thank you very much, Ms Hockey.